This video is a chaotic little vlog of some things I got up to in August. I had my very first experience, or real experience, with street photography, which was incredibly unnerving, but also very fun. I photographed some really cool drift cars on a dry lake bed, and I was on a photo shoot that reminded me of what I think might be the best way to gain experience as a photographer. So in this chaotic little vlog, I want to share all these things with you to kind of wrap up the month of August. While I was on the East Coast this past month, I was invited to the town of Cape Ann in Massachusetts, which is a beautiful little coastal town. My friend Dave invited me out there. This was a really busy time of year for a small coastal town like this. I just thought it sounded like a lot of fun. I didn't particularly know a lot about the place or have a plan for what I was going to photograph, but I decided to go out there anyway for 3 days to relax and take some photos. And the trip started the way that my photo trips usually start, which is with like what I thought would be a nice sunrise, turned into a sort of early morning foggy scene down by the water. This town of Rockport is very picturesque, and it's kind of known as a painter's town. There's a lot of different motifs that painters come to as a destination for their paintings, and you'll also find like a lot of little art galleries selling local artists' paintings. And so with this early morning that was supposed to be a sunrise but turned into like this nice foggy thing, I just had the idea of painting in the back of my mind, and I think I tried to make some images with that theme in mind. I think there were a couple really successful ones, and this is kind of what I thought the trip would look like for the rest of the time. But at this time I had my Leights Minolta CL with me, which I had not yet returned. Doesn't really matter. I had a small 35mm camera with me, and during the middle of the day, which would typically be downtime for me where I'm not really taking photos, I was walking around the town of Rockport, and it was kind of a really busy time of year for this town. Summertime was in the back of my mind. I've kind of been looking at a lot of street photographers, people like Joel Meyrowitz, Vivian Meyer, all amazing street photographers whose work I've just been admiring recently, not even specifically with the intention of trying to take street photos, but I think just subconsciously in the back of my mind from looking at all their work, it's made me kind of want to give it a shot. And so the town was really busy, really lively on this day. It kind of came in this very unexpected way. It was not at all what I'd set out to do, but just from looking at these people's work and then also being in this town that I'm not familiar with and that was very lively, I just started taking these much more candid photos that felt a lot more like street photography. I just got into kind of a little bit of a flow with it. Like I really started enjoying it. I started just getting a little bit more comfortable, getting a feel for how to approach people who I wanted in an image, or how to kind of watch a little bit further ahead than I typically do for something interesting that might unfold and that I could take a picture of. I think there's a couple images that, you know, were not terrible for the first time trying this style of photo. One image that I liked in particular was this family walking out on these rocks in this town, and there's something really nice about the way they're spaced out and the blue color of the sky. The light's kind of soft, but I like how the girl in the middle in the pink dress is just about to land on this rock. There's just that perfect little gap between her foot and the rock that I think really makes the photo for me. I was pleasantly surprised to get that scan back and get something back that I actually kind of liked. I will say there was also a lot of very bad images, and I think that's maybe more so part of this style of photography, is just reacting to your impulses a little bit, and when it works, and a lot of the time, at least for me, it didn't work. I continued just walking around this town for a couple hours, just reacting to things that I saw, letting it be very instinctual, not really overthinking it, talking to people more, and I felt very engaged and in tune with what was going on. I've walked around on crowded streets so many times in my life, and now all of a sudden I was looking for these little interesting details or the way people might line up coming towards me. It was just a really fun and unfamiliar experience, which for me with my photography, I tend to kind of stick to my comfort zone a lot. And not that that's a bad thing, but I have been making the same kind of landscapes for many years now, and this just completely pushed me out of my comfort zone. It was like everything I knew about photography just went out the window, and it was like I was starting all over again. But at the same time, that feeling of starting all over again and not being comfortable with it was really exciting. Like, it kind of felt like that spark of excitement and inspiration that I got from the very first time I tried photography, or the very first time I really fell in love with it.
Make your donations now!
For next year's... Wait, what? I got it. Am I supposed to put...
There you go, thank you guys!
Thank you guys, John. You know what? Hey, I'm gonna buy it. They make these from
It completely took me out of my comfort zone. It was a completely new experience, and that kind of thing is quite rare in photography. So for that reason, I thought it would be fun to share. We also went to a parade that was happening nearby, and I think for a beginner in street photography like myself, it was a great place to be because everybody was having fun, everybody was relaxed, and it was this very friendly environment where people didn't necessarily question your motives for taking pictures, which I feel like is the intimidating thing for people a lot of the time going into a style of photography like this, is you kind of have to be a little bit confronting. You know, you don't want to be the creep with the 70 to 200 sitting on the sidelines. You want to, at least for me, if I want to make a photo that feels, you know, lively and from the perspective of the way you see things with your own eyes, you kind of need to use a wide angle lens, and you kind of need to get close to people. So I think a parade like this was a great first experience because people were open to having their photo taken. From the parade, there was a couple images I liked as well. There's this one of what I think is a couple, and they're both just dressed in the exact same pink outfit, and they're both doing the exact same little motion to block the sunlight from their eyes. It's quite a contrasty photo, quite bold with the colors because the light is harsher, but I like the look of it, and I think it's just a fun image. There's also another one of a guy clapping, and I think his wife was behind him also clapping, and they were just kind of twisted together in this really fun way. The framing of it kind of sucks though. They're just kind of on the right, and there's nothing going on in the left half of the frame. The next project I want to share this month was super last minute and super impulsive, but I'm sitting at home, probably right here one day, and my friend Tyler gives me a call, and he says something like, we're going to a dry lake bed to photograph a bunch of drift cars. So of course I just started snapping some photos. I got a couple images out of it that were really fun, and I've been wanting to photograph more cars in motion recently, so this was a great excuse to experiment a little bit. As the sun went down and they drove off to do their thing with the video shoot, I was with my friend Linus and I photographed my Subaru because it was just such an amazing setting. The car was already kind of in the dust and the light was amazing. I'm certainly not like a traditional, commercial automotive photographer. I just like photographing cars while experiencing them, while on road trips with them. And this was a great example, I think, a beautiful location that I happened to be in with this car. This month I also assisted on a photo shoot, and it kind of reminded me of my time in college when I would assist on a lot of photo shoots out in New York City. And it kind of made me just want to discuss assisting for a while in a YouTube video here, because I think it's potentially one of the best and quickest ways to gain experience as a photographer in the real world. And this was partially the reason I dropped out of college. I remember being in New York City at college about 2 years in, and I started assisting commercial photographers, fashion photographers, and like editorial shoots. And I just remember, from simple things like loading people's film cameras, setting up lights, getting coffee, that I just got to be on these photo shoots. You learn how these photographers that you assist get their images, and a lot of the times the process is completely different than what you could imagine. So anyway, the shoot that reminded me of this experience was my friend Jacob Ogden's shoot for 032C. They were doing a capsule collection with Juventus, the football club, and my friend Jake was shooting the images for this release and just asked me to help out for the day. I helped him out on this day, and it just reminded me that assisting is incredibly fun. We shot for like 3 hours, and I thought the photos that came out of the shoot were also just incredible. There were 2 models in the images, and even though I know Jake really well, it was just cool seeing how he works with models, what somebody else's process is with taking photos. And I feel like I took a lot away from this experience, and it reminded me of those early days of assisting photographers in New York City. If you're a photographer and you're looking to gain experience, I would highly recommend it. And my advice for reaching out to somebody who you're looking to assist would be not to say that you're also a good photographer and you're looking to gain experience, but I remember just emailing people and saying what I could do for them. I would say, I'm excellent at loading your film. I use all the cameras that you use. I'm really good at loading them, very comfortable with it. I am proficient with this kind of lighting, continuous, strobe. I can set all this up, look out for it so you don't have to worry about that during your shoot. And I remember just offering an extra set of eyes to make sure that things were going right and to lend a hand when the photographer had too many things going on. While you're watching this, I'll be back in the Outer Banks once again taking more photos, so look out for some of those videos in the future. Next week is a big week on the channel. 2 really exciting projects dropping, so look out for that. Thank you so much for watching. And finally, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one website building platform that you can use to build your photography portfolio online. I've been using Squarespace for so many years now, and they've made it so easy to get a website up and running. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thank you for watching. Peace.